I do a lot of kit bashing. You know, in my last video I showed off Roranus, my horned demon, I showed off the Redemptionist, this big angel mini I made, and I'm feeling like I need to kit bash some more. And so in this video I wanted to kind of just, I guess, show my process as best as I can. It is inspired, well, not inspired by, it is basically directly copied from Totally Not Panicking's kit bashing style. He has a guide that he released on his website. I'll have that link down below. Go read that. It is what inspired the chaos that is my kit bashing table right now. Of course, also we've got some miscast playing to inspire me. But the goal today is to make 1, 2, maybe 3 cool monster minis. I already sort of started when I decided to film here, but I had this like Tyranid print, and then I had also done a bunch of like classic monster mini prints. A couple of them sort of misprinted, so makes it perfect for kit bashing. But I had some hooked horrors. I have a Grell, some big ooze thing, a Drake, and then what I did is I've started just kind of putting pieces into shapes that I think are interesting. So I snipped off a bunch of tentacles from this Grell head because some of them had just came out really wonky, and I was like, ooh, that would look pretty cool if the head was on this alien body, because in my setting of the Ark, which I talked about in my last video, I need more alien-feeling monsters. I've got lots of demons, I've got lots of classic fantasy monsters, but I don't have really anything that emphasizes how weird alien life and Xenos things can be that get aboard this ship as it's hurtling through the heavens. So I'm going to kind of smash a few things together here, and then I'll show you my progress in a minute. A big part of Totally Not Panicking's kit bashing style in the guide that he shared was like, it is not about getting perfect seams and having everything look clean. His stuff looks filthy and disgusting because of all the texture he adds to it, which just serves to cover up a lot of the mistakes. The way that I get a lot of my texture is I have the technical Martian iron earth from GW, which is sort of a cracked Mars Earth surface sort of paint. And then I also use the typhus corrosion, which is a really, it just looks like grime, like built up grime. And so between these two paints and my own just sloppy green stuff that I stuff into places and fill with super glue, you never notice any of the little flaws. And you can see in this Grell alien, like, well, here, let me get a better light here. Hopefully you can see, like, in the neck area there's like hard lines and stuff that don't look super good. Over here is a little wonky and weird, but when I jam a bunch of texture paint in there, you're hardly going to even notice, because it's also going to be standing down on the table, or in my case, I'm going to take a picture of it and upload it as a virtual mini. You'll never know. We're getting somewhere. So the head glued on there with the green stuff, and then I had a Beholder misprint, of course, and I ended up having a bunch of these very phallic-shaped eye stalks that I wasn't sure what I was going to do with, but I wanted to save them because I knew I'd throw them onto a mini, and I think they'd look pretty sweet in these pockets that are meant to be for like big scything talons on the Tyranid. What if I put some big eyeball-looking things up in there? Because the Grell doesn't have eyes, it's just like this, or Grell, it's just this brain with a beak. So maybe I can put these Beholder eye stalks up on its shoulders, and those can shoot magical beams or, you know, paralyze creatures so that the Grell can run up and devour it with its beak. Ooh, we're cooking. Mini number 1 is complete, my Grell alien hunter. So what I did is there were these arms on the back that I snipped off of one of these other aliens that misprinted, big flattened off section of head, and I glued them down into its under segment. So it's got 4 scything claws. I like how kind of up curled they are. Really feel like it looks like a bird or like a velociraptor. It just emphasizes I think it goes well with the beak. And then those eye tentacles on the back look so freaky. So as this thing is walking down dungeon corridors, it's constantly looking around on surveillance for its next meal, and then can go sprinting down the hallway, leap in the air, and bring these big 4 scything talons down into its prey. 1 down. Let's see how many more we can do. So I already have a Grick mini, but I printed an extra one just because it's always good to have extra little bits and bodies to work with. And I also printed off an extra Flump, who I had snipped off its eye stalks to give the actual Flump I made 3 eyes. And now I'm wondering, what if I could use that as a head? So instead of having these big tentacles in the beak, this head would be on it. It'd be like some weird alien leech thing. Because if you like look down the mouth, that looks like a bunch of barbed tentacles that could wrap around something and then pull it down into this big worm body. If you've seen Peter Jackson's King Kong, you know exactly what I'm picturing in my head right now. Here's a better view of our space leech with its... these have got to be paralyzing things. Man, this is basically just like an alien carrion crawler now that I'm thinking about it. But I do feel like it needs something up here on the top of its head, like some eyes or some antenna or something. So let's see what I can add. I took all of the ends of the paralyzing stinger tentacles that were on the, well, now butchered Grell mini, snipped off all of those at the end, and put them on backwards to look like a mane of sort of fibrous feeler tentacles that I feel also reinforce that Peter Jackson giant swamp leech thing. Oh god, that thing is so disgusting and cool. I have been sitting here for 20 minutes trying to put together one last kit bash. I thought maybe I could do something with this weird oozy tentacle wing to give like the crowned ooze or something, but I wasn't really in love with that. I was thinking of doing something with these hooked horrors, but we already have our sort of alien-ish looking hook horror. I'm like, I don't want to do the same thing with a tentacle. And as I was putting stuff over there, I remembered I have this basilisk body print that the head misprinted, but I have something over curing that I think I could put there instead. What about that? What about the beholder head that we snipped all of those eye stalks off of, right? I don't know where that one went, but this was the beholder. And now, would that look pretty cool right there? Some giant cyclopean giant mouth lizard thing. And it works, it works so perfect, because if you look on the basilisk body, it has like a mouth running up its chest. And this beholder head has like that split jaw. Oh, it sits right in there so good. I think that's got to be our last one for the night. Side note, as I apply some green stuff to the neck area to attach the head, Miscast was just talking in a video about how he was really optimistic about 3D printing at one point, and then he kind of was like so on it because he felt like the whole industry was just more. How many, his exact wordings were like, how many minis can you cram into a monthly release? And then is like anybody actually using those? Is anybody printing those minis? And I am happy and proud to say that I am using so much of what I print, and I am very particular of who I subscribe to on my mini factory. Bestarium is one of the biggest ones that I subscribe to. I get so much value out of them. The guy who did all of these like very classic fantasy minis is one I newly subscribed to, and he has a name that I frankly cannot pronounce, so I will link that down below as well. But I am happy to say that I don't just print for the sake of printing, but I print and actually use the stuff that I make for some awesome looking minis. I feel like it needs something on the head still though, right? It's not quite done. I think I know what I'm gonna do. So I couldn't really find anything for the head that I liked, but it is clearly a very front heavy model. And I showed off this tentacle wing before, and I thought, what if this thing had, at the end of its tail, this big slimy gripper thing that I could swipe up prey from a distance and throw it into that huge giant mouth in front of it. Sort of just like a big hand on the back of its tail that's just throwing things down. And I feel like that can help take away some of that unevenness, front heaviness of the mini. Tell me that is not so freaking sick. Oh my gosh, what a creepy, weird, giant beholder basilisk beast. Man, still feel like the head could use something, and I just don't know what yet. So let me know, do you think it needs something on the top? If it does, what would you throw on there? Eventually I'll cover up all these little holes where I snipped off those eye stalks with some green stuff and texture paste. But overall, pretty happy with this guy, and pretty happy with our batch of minis that we made today. So if you've got bits laying around, freaking kit bash something awesome. Go make something super weird and share it somewhere for other freaks like us to look at and check out. And that's it for me today. Thank you all for thanks for tuning to today's RPG sermon. And we say these things in their unholy names. Amen.